We watched Marquette win tonight. We saw Texas win tonight. A lot of action happened in the NCAA tournament, in the conference tournaments. Rick Pitino, he's dancing. Got a lot to get to. I want to start with Marquette, though. We talked about this a little bit last night, RC. When they guard the way they've guarded, right? They blew out Xavier tonight. I don't even have the score in front of me. The score doesn't matter.
65-51.
Yeah. They were up by 30 in the second half. The score doesn't matter. They blew them out. That was not a game. When they're able to guard the way they guarded tonight, when they're able to make shots the way they made shots this week, why shouldn't we be more excited about what that team can be this year?
You know what? I think because everybody until coming into the year, I don't know if anybody expected Tyler Kolek to be player of the year.
No,
I don't think anybody expected that. And you looked at the team and you're like, who's going to be that dude? When you watch them play, their roles are defined. Everyone knows how they can help each other be successful. They are as close-knit of a team that you can just see it. Like guys turning down shots. Everything is built to get to the shot that they want. It's a special unit, and when you know that, there's no limitations. I think the biggest thing is if they defend the way they defended in this tournament, they're going to be a tough foul. And right now, I mean, they're not a team that I want to play.
And there's a clear pecking order too. I think that's one thing that you could see fairly quickly whenever you watch that team play. It's Tyler Kolek's team, and everybody else is kind of filtering around him. And guys, what more can we say about the kid? I mean, he has been awesome this tournament and just figures things out for everybody. Defensively, he's guarding Foreman. And credit to Shaka for kind of figuring a little bit of a curveball. They're going to make Foreman beat Tyler Kolek in the post. Nobody's done it. Nobody's willing to do it. He's covering ball screens by drop coverage. That happened a couple of times today. The point guard is the hedge man. And it's a curveball that teams aren't ready for.
Only thing I'll add is that it's special when, to your point, I saw him tonight take a shot that I was kind of questioning, but nobody really cared. It was like the next time down, it was like shoot it again. It's like they're expecting him to shoot. They want him to do it, and it's a different group, and it's a group that when we say the best team of being connected in all angles, this team is one of them.
They're tough. That's another thing too. Not a whole lot of fouls are called in the Big East tournament. It is a rugged, physical tournament the whole time. And they're tough, and they were just tougher than Xavier tonight. There's no other way to put that. Xavier ran out of gas. They didn't have as much firepower. It showed today. Adam Kunkel went something like 5 of 17, 5 of 19. I mean, that's just all legs. And let's just call it what it is. Marquette's just a bunch of dudes, a bunch of big, strong
Stevie
dudes.
Mitchell and Sean Jones took it personal today.
Those are big cats.
So here's my thing about Xavier and about Marquette, and the reason why I think I'm much more bullish on them than a lot of people.
They look like a Final Four team, Rob.
They did, because we know how good they are offensively, right? They're able to space the floor. They got the shooters. They got their All-American point guard who, I mean, look, we got to call it what it is. He's probably the best point guard in America right now. Is there someone better than him?
No.
Yeah.
He is
He's tough. He gets to his left hand. He knows how to create. He's a great passer. There may be better players.
There's better players, but he's on the best team.
Yes. And
the team's a team because of him.
Yes. Either way, you have a great point guard. Doesn't matter if he's the best or not.
No.
So my question was always going to be the issues that they had defensively. And the more that I watched them, Stevie Mitchell, what did I tell you? You got to start calling him off night, right? You got to start calling him off night. He locks people up.
He does.
Then you got Omax Prosper, who,
man, he's turned into a prospect.
Has taken in this tournament. He took whoever the other team's best player was.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it was Jordan Hawkins, whether it was Colby Jones, and those are two completely different kind of dudes.
His size is bothering.
He shut them down. He can guard on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And Tyler Kolek, like you mentioned, is tough enough. You can put him on a 4-man, and you can kind of, I don't want to say you hide him defensively, because he's really good at kind of being that rotation guy.
Well, he's a great position defender.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just a reminder, our sponsor for today's episode is Run Your Pool. They are hosting the Field of 68 Bracket Challenge. This year, they are giving away $1,500 in free prizes. It's all an incentive for you to get on there and find out just how good their platform is. I've been using them for my bracket pools for years. I've used them for Super Bowl squares. I use them for everything that I need to use them for. The biggest survivor pool that I'm in for both NFL and NCAA tournament is by Run Your Pool. So go check them out. The link's below. Tap in.
Yes.
He's not a great on the ball defender. He's a great position defender. And what you're doing whenever you're putting him on a 4-man, and especially a 4-man like Hunter, who doesn't necessarily score like that, you're letting him roam a little bit. You're letting him dictate the offense from the back dictate the defense from the back of the defense. He's controlling everything. Typically, we've talked about some other teams like Baylor with Chemwa Chachua. He's back there conducting, right? He's calling out screen coverages. Now it's Kolek doing that on defense too.
I think some of that is you got to conserve him. He's so important to you offensively that you can't expect him to exert as much energy as he does on the offensive end and then expect him to put him on the top guy.
You don't want him to foul trouble.
No, he's too important to your team. Like you always got a chance with him in the game. You know, he controls you can't speed him up, and he controls the tempo of the game.
Yeah, and I love his mentality, right? Like,
dude, he cussed out also Iguodala.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody saw this. There was on a baseline, like, and Iguodala was late on a help, and it was a very clear mistake.
Yeah.
They're up 25.
They were up.
And Cole reams him to half court.
Yeah,
and then they just get back on offense. And Iguodala was just like, "Oh well, yep, you're right. That was it."
You need that. You need
that guy.
You need that on the team.
They know.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm going to make a comparison here to North Carolina, because we talk about how there's no leadership in that program. Guys aren't taking accountability. You don't have anyone that'll sit there and cuss out Caleb Love on the floor when he needs to get cussed out if he takes a bad shot.
Right.
If someone takes a bad shot on Marquette, you're going to have Tyler cussing him out. You're probably going to have someone else on the team cussing him out, and then they're going to get back and keep moving. They know when they make a mistake, and they have someone to hold them accountable on that roster, in the floor, in that locker room. I think that matters.
Yeah, it certainly matters. And Shaka does a great job of providing ownership to the players. That's a huge thing as well, right? So you have that ownership between teams. You have a guy that the players look to on the floor, and whenever he's the most dominant ball handler on that team, it just seems like there's always an answer. At least during this tournament, it seemed like Marquette always had an answer for what was next.
So I want to ask you this, because you probably know, we both know Shaka. You know Shaka better than we do because you played for him. He recruited you.
Sure.
He's one of the reasons that you went to Clemson. What is it about him that allows guys, because he did this at VCU, right? He got guys to be their best and play at their best and really buy into the identity of, this is your job. You do your job great. Our team is going to be great. How does he get that out of people?
He just has an unbelievable feel for his guys. And even back when I was in college, got 15 years ago now, sweet Lord, it goes fast. But all that being said, he was the intermediary between the players and the coaches. And he had a way of communicating with guys to where everybody could understand. You know, when you get to college, there's a lot of guys from a lot of different areas. And you have to find ways to get guys together. Culturally, I was different than the rest of the guys. Shaka helped mediate that between the teammates and everything. Another thing is he keeps that same relationship when he was recruiting you to when he's coaching you. And there's not a lot of coaches that are like that. There's not a lot of coaches that are like that. And it must be my last thing when it comes to him. He just, to me, Shaka's a special person. And then another thing is there's a lot of great X's and O's coaches, but to be able to transfer knowledge from his mind to the player's mind, there's really smart people, and then there's really good teachers. And I feel like he's both of those.
You know what I really like about him is I think he kind of has figured out what his weaknesses are when it comes to being a coach, right?
Yeah. And you sign guys
evolved.
in. Yeah.
I think he's evolved as a coach. He's gone from the havoc and known as a defensive guy to, when you watched him, their execution on the offensive end, their movement off the ball, they were schemed. I thought in the St. John's game, you watched how they schemed them. It was like, okay, we're going to sag off and play like in drop coverage with Iguodala and everybody else, guard your man weak side, because they force you to guard everybody. There's so much movement. They force you to guard up with ghost screens and everything. And then they made that adjustment. They started saying, all right, you want to do that? We're going to go single side ball screen.
Right.
And just kind of keep the false motion on the weak side. And it was forcing rotation that they didn't want to make.
Right.
And I just think the way he's adapted on the offensive end and be him and the staff, I think that's the biggest difference.
What's his special assistant? What's the guy he hired? That's the guy. And he's done a lot of stuff, changing the angles from where they attack. They're attacking in the slot as opposed on the 45. They do a lot of different things. And it's not huge. It's about 6 feet.
It's enough to make you
It's 6
to
feet.
change how you guard, and when you
It-
make an adjustment, it's enough to make you say, instead of, we've saw teams in this tournament that just did the same thing over and over, and
Yeah.
they're a team that has the
Just
ability.
say Utah, okay? Just say Utah.